Now, you originally said that you personally handled 3 of these cases, but these lawyers say that you had no substantive involvement. Chairman Grassley, I would ask that op-ed from last Tuesday's Washington Post be entered into the record. Are they distorting your record here?
Yes. In fact, one of those.
Back when we were shown the questionnaire that he answered originally, he talked about 4 cases that the Civil Rights Division did back in that period when he was the United States Attorney, and claimed that he had personally handled those cases. Those of us who worked on the case knew differently.
I find it ironic and strange, to say the least, that he would now testify that he in fact played an active role when the truth is he did not.
DOJ is facing real challenges, whether it's protecting civil rights or defending national security, and our country needs an Attorney General who doesn't misrepresent or inflate their level of involvement on any given issue.
Well, you're correct, Senator Franken. We need to be accurate in what we say. When this issue was raised, I did do a supplemental that said I provided assistance and guidance to Civil Rights Division attorneys, open door policy with them, and cooperated with them on these cases, close quote.
I never met Jeff Sessions in the period that I worked on the school desegregation case that is one of the cases that he listed. And the major brief that I filed in that case related to the decision that he was claiming he was responsible for. His name was not on the brief, and he didn't sign it. It was only done by the Civil Rights Division. So again, even with his supplemental response, felt that it was not true.
I first met Jeff Sessions in the very early 1980s when he became the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Alabama in Mobile. I was assigned 2 cases, and in 1986, when he was nominated to be a federal judge, I testified that he had made some remarks that he demonstrated to me that he affected his qualifications to be a federal judge. Remarks like calling the NAACP and the ACLU un-American, for example, or commie-inspired, which I thought were inappropriate and improper.
There is an irony in relying on Mr. Hebert because, as you well know, in 1986, during your confirmation hearing, Mr. Hebert testified then and attacked you then, making false charges against you. And indeed, I would note in the 1986 hearing, 2 days later, Mr. Hebert was forced to recant his testimony.
Senator Cruz misrepresented and gave misleading information about my testimony in 1986, where he said essentially, he gave the impression that I had recanted my entire testimony from 1986. And I did no such thing. I stand by my testimony in 1986, and he knows that. My supervisor had given a deposition stating that Jeff Sessions had interfered with an FBI investigation. I found that Jeff Sessions was not the U.S. Attorney, it was his predecessor, just prior to his taking office. And so we both immediately gave sworn statements to the Senate saying that we had made a mistake on that point. And I made very clear in my affidavit pointing out that error that I stood by all of my other testimony, including the statements that Sessions had made.
My biggest concern is that in his questionnaire to the Senate, he's not being fully truthful. And I would hope he would try to come forward and correct fully the misstatements he made in his questionnaire and his supplemental questionnaire.
I'm concerned that given his position on civil rights, that he will reverse the Justice Department's position in those cases. We have to really hold Jeff Sessions accountable if he is confirmed as Attorney General and watch every day his actions and inactions.